Really getting the feel for an Irish jig is a multi-step process, and it's one that I've taught partially in the past, but today we are going to take it one step further. We are going to get you unstuck if you are in a phase where you know what you should be doing, but as you know, knowing and actually implementing something is a whole other matter, and I'll show you a couple of things to avoid. Hi, I'm Hannah Harris, and I teach adult fiddlers how to develop an authentic sounding lilt within Irish traditional music, especially if you didn't grow up listening to reels, jigs, slides, and polkas for all of your life. I post a new Irish fiddle training usually every other Thursday, so be sure to hit that subscribe button as well as the bell icon so you can be notified when a new tip goes live. So jigs, I listened to a really nice interview the other day between Liz Doherty and Matt Cranich, who are two incredible Irish fiddlers from Donegal and Cork respectively, and they hit on something that really struck me as just something I hadn't considered before, and that is if you are coming to Irish music and you haven't been exposed to 6/8 time in whatever genre you're coming from, it might be really hard to pick up the feel of the jig. And by hard, I really mean you just don't have the sense of how the jig should sound. So we're gonna fix that today in this video. I'm gonna take you through how to look at 6/8 on the page or just be listening to 6/8 and really convert it into that more subtle, flexible, fluid Irish lilt. Now, if you have a classical background, there is a chance that you've already been exposed to 6/8, but maybe if you've done more bluegrass or old-time music, you haven't come across it as often. It might just be a little bit more rare for you. So let's just start by making sure we're on the same page and you have the 6/8 time in your head before you even pick up your instrument. All right, so our time signature is 6/8, so we have 6/8 notes per measure. So we're gonna count that as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can hear there's a little bit of a stress on the first note of each triplet, so that's 1 and 4. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna clap our hands on beats 1 and 4. And if you were to be playing this is where you would tap your foot, is on beats 1 and 4. So here we go. We're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, clap on 1 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, it can get to be a lot to try and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all over and over again. So if you feel like you're out of breath, you can always subdivide it. And this is actually something I'll do in my head while I'm playing, is I'll just have 1, 2, 1, 2. And if you need to go even further than that, you can go 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a. So let's try that. 1 and a 2 and a. 1, 2, ready, go. 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a. So you can kind of get the feel for it with how you want your underlying jig rhythm structure to be. And if you're still having trouble with getting the feel for the triplets, there's a little mnemonic device that Irish people like to use in order to help you remember the pattern, and that is rashers and sausages, rashers and sausages, rashers and sausages. So if that helps you out, then you can always use that as added bonus for you. All right, counting your rhythm was the first step, but it might be the second step where you're getting stuck. So I really want to make sure today that we're working past this one. So step 2 is playing with a dotted rhythm. And this dotted rhythm is going to be very exaggerated. It's going to be mimicking exactly what you would see if you were looking at a piece of sheet music and you saw the dotted rhythm written out. We're going to be very exaggerated and very exact. And this is not going to be the right way to play the jig. So this is why I don't want you getting stuck on this step, but I do want you to acknowledge it, because if you're not used to playing with a swinging sensation, it can be really helpful to just train your muscles to be, a little bit more exaggerated than what you need, and then soften them out into the more flexible, fluid sound we're going for. So let's do this on a D scale now, just 1 octave up and down. You can play along with me, and we'll go about 1, 2, ready, go. That is your dotted rhythm, but it doesn't sound very jig-like still, right? To put some imagery to it, it's kind of more stiff and sharp, and that's really not what Irish music is all about. It's a lot more smooth and fluid, and so in order to capture that feeling, we want to make sure that our fingers, our wrists, our arms, our shoulders are all nice and loosened up to help be more conducive to this environment. So let's pause right here and just shake out your bow arm. So make sure it's nice and loose. Maybe do some gentle circles. Make sure that there's no furniture right behind you that you're going to hit with your arm when you do this. I have definitely been known to do that before. You can go in both directions, loosening up your shoulder. You can use some basic wrist circles here, nice and loose, nice and flexible. And it's also good to take a few deep breaths. So what actually helps me is to physically put one hand on my chest, one hand on my belly, like so. And then when I inhale, fill up the belly first, then the chest, and then I release the chest, release the belly on the exhale. So we're gonna do just a couple of breaths here. Let's do an inhale on a count of 3 and an exhale on a count of 5. So the exhale's a little bit longer. So put your cues together if you need it. We're gonna inhale 1, 2, 3, exhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, exhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more. Inhale 1, 2, 3, exhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Already I feel a lot more relaxed. I feel ready to connect with my fiddle and form this partnership with it. So it's time to give our next step a try. Now that your body is relaxed, let's just mimic that relaxed motion and use it when we're playing our scales. So same thing, a D 1-octave scale, and we're going to just soften that dotted rhythm out. It's somewhere halfway between a strict dotted rhythm that you would see on the page and then just straight eighth notes. Here are 3 things Matt Kranich mentioned in that interview I was talking about that I really want you to keep an eye out for as you're working on softening out this rhythm. Number 1, not every note value is equal, but each note should sound out in its own right. So that means that even though the second note of our triplet is shorter, it still needs to come out and not get lost in just a bunch of repetitive triplets. So you really want to bring that second note out even though it's shorter. So to demo this, I'm going to do another scale, and this time I'm going to make the second note different. So we're going to do a triplet pattern, and I'm going to play it with the dotted jig feel, and I'm going to just have the separate note ring out very clearly so you can tell that even though it's shorter, it still is coming across as a note all of its own. Number 2 is speed, and this one is especially for my young whippersnappers in the audience here. If you are tempted to take a jig at top speed as fast as you can go, maybe don't, because actually a nice loping pace to the jig is very tasteful, and to a lot of people it is a lot more pleasant to listen to. So for example, Number 3 is bowing, of course. Teaching bowing is my jam. I love to teach my students to use very even amounts of bowing so you're not getting too far to the frog or the tip, so you're not going too far in one direction or the other. It's just nice and even out, and one of the really helpful bow patterns to know, especially for jigs, is the up bow 3-note slur. And to give your jigs a little bit more lift and character, you're going to want to incorporate this natural swell with your bow. So let's just do a little exercise here and I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so we're going to take our D scale again and do another little bit of a swell with B, C sharp, and D. So that's 1, 2, 3 on your A string. And we're going to just lean into that. It's going to be an up bow 3-note slur. So I'm leaning into that first note. You don't have to create that by sliding the note. You can if you want, but you can also just create that with your bow. I'm pulling a little bit more slowly, a little bit more intentionally at the start of this to create that swell. So try that with me. And I'm even holding onto that B a little bit longer, so it's not just, it's So just creating that nice swelling motion is very uplifting. To recap, as you're softening out your jig rhythms, you do not want to discredit the shorter notes. You also want to make sure that you're not playing the jig too fast, and you want to give it some character so that you're not running out of bow, but even just within the parameters you've set yourself, you're giving it a lot of lift and a lot of style. If bowing is something that you need extra guidance and support with, I would love to chat with you further about how I can give you that support. So you can book a free 15-minute call with me where we'll talk about all of your goals as far as where you want to take your Irish fiddle practice and see if it's something that I can help you make progress with. There's no pressure to join either my private studio or any of my courses. This is really just a call that will give me a chance to get to know you better and how to support you better. So if you'd like, the link for that is down below. You can book your call, and I look forward to chatting with you soon. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up so I can help more fiddlers find their lilt. And if there are any of your fiddling friends who you think would really find value in this training, you think they would enjoy this video, please do feel free to share it with them. You can also check out this video where I go into a lot more examples of Irish jigs and how to add emphasis to them, which is really the next step for you as you're developing your rhythm further. As always, I appreciate you and your dedication to improving your Irish fiddle skills. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.